Welcome back to Power CEOs, Truth Behind the Business. We are here in studio with Christopher Turner of EMERGICON, and we were just talking about hiring, people, processes, and the start of your business, Chris. And where I want to go next is healthcare is a tough industry. I don't care what part of healthcare you're in, it's a tough industry, especially here in Texas, because we have a lot of issues with people who cannot afford to pay and a lot of things. And it's a struggle that we see from the hospitals to practitioners and every step along the way. How have you managed to continue to grow, continue to thrive in this difficult and challenging industry?
You know, it's funny, sometimes I look at it and I think maybe we've missed the boat in certain areas because we really don't do what a lot of others in our space do. So we keep it local to Texas. We keep our staff in Texas. We keep really, really laser focused on serving those providers that we serve. And we focus a tremendous amount on service because service makes the difference in everything. It really does. And we all know what good service is, and we definitely know what bad service is. So we strive to really try to meet our clients' needs and their patients' needs because it's the right thing to do. It's the right way to take care of people. And that's worked out for us. It really has. We don't go to extreme cost-cutting measures. We don't do things that commonly I think would be done and others would see value in. We really try to reinvest in our people. We really try to build a culture that is supportive of them so they can be supportive of the people that they serve.
I really like that approach, and you know, I've talked with other guests before, and when you take care of your people take care of your clients.
It's true.
And your people take care of your business. And when your people are taking care of your clients and your business, you get more business because they're happy. And so that's kind of bucking a lot of trends because you're in the billing aspect.
Yep.
And so all I hear in your industry is efficiency, 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 efficiency. And here you are experience. Customer service experience. That's experience. So how do you continue to grow your team in the customer experience? Because let's face it, our clients have changed. Their needs change all the time. What they're looking for changes. How do you continue to keep your teams and your people evolving with our clientele and creating that customer service and that next level care so that you keep your it's lifetime value, really.
Right. One aspect I think is just me as a person and the beliefs I bring. And so when we have people in our call center that are dealing with patients calling in who maybe lost a loved one, it takes a special kind of person.
Oh, yes.
I have tremendous respect for the job they do. I mean, I really do. I think it's a very difficult role and they do it beautifully. Secondly, and Jen, you know this, coaching is the way of business these days. We invest a tremendous amount in coaching of our teams. And so that starts at the leadership level down to the management level. So we have outside coaching. We have a lot of coaching because it comes down to the people that do the jobs, everything. It all comes down to them. And people have stuff. We all have stuff. And so coaching helps to, make us feel better when we don't feel great, make us remember not to focus on those gaps. Dan Sullivan has the gap in the gain concept. So don't constantly look at where you have to go. Look back and see how much progress you've made. And that's something we've really gotten good about ingraining in our culture, and that coaching cascades down. So I mentioned our CEO, Tiffany Pearson, great people leader, great people coach. Undoubtedly, her single greatest skill is coaching and leading others. That has gotten really, really strong for us, and I think that makes a huge difference.
And so for the entrepreneurs out there that are like, and this is a thing, and I don't know if it's a Texas thing or an entrepreneur and a high performer thing, but we're like, I could do it myself.
Yeah.
I've got this. I don't need anybody else to help me. I don't need a coach. I mean, I'm not that person. I have 7 coaches myself.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. It's my business, and I always, because the value is the objective perspective, because let's be real, as high performers, which I like to hire high performers, as high performers, we're our worst critic.
Yep.
So we get in our head and we get in these stories and we might miss the boat on something, or we're like so laser focused on where we're going, we forget about this over here, and that becomes a big problem. And coaching kind of like opens it up and helps us to see the whole picture, like the realistic picture, not the I'm in my head and beating myself up over something that nobody even noticed or would never even have an impact.
Yep.
So for the people out there that are like, I got my business to this level, I don't need coaching, sometimes it's a fear that, I don't know everything. How do you bridge that gap for those entrepreneurs or those executives who have kind of a fear of bringing someone outside in? Because it's twofold. It's what if I'm seen as weak and I'm the leader? And then it's also, well, what if I don't know what if I find out that I didn't know something or did something wrong? Like, so I guess a fear of making the mistakes and failure is also there.
You know, it's funny. My take's different. So my take and what I run into are people who feel like the business won't run the way they want it to be run as if they did it themselves. And the fallacy in that is it's self-limiting, which means you haven't empowered anybody. You're the person they feel like they have to call for everything. So they don't have any true autonomy. They really don't know what success looks like because they feel like you define everything. And it's the number one thing I kind of run into with other entrepreneurs that I would consider kind of budding entrepreneurs or still at a certain level. As you get higher and larger, it gets different challenges. That one's funny though, because it's almost like get out of your own way.
Yep.
Teach the people what your business is, what your values are, what you're passionate about, what success looks like for them, because they want to bring results. Nobody wants to work somewhere where they don't feel purpose and connection to what they're doing. They want to feel successful. And if you're the blockade, you got to get out of the way and you got to give them the chance. You're going to have made mistakes. They're going to uncover that you've made mistakes. We all do that. That's okay, because if they're really good and they fix something you've made a mistake on and they make it better, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah, and newsflash, last time I checked, we were all human, and mistakes is a part of the learning game. And, you know, I like to redefine it. I say, you know, we take our losses as learnings.
Yes.
It's just an opportunity. And I'm going to go out on a limb, and you may not agree with me, but I'm going to say I believe that I have learned more when I have failed than when I'm successful.
Yeah.
Because when you're successful, you kind of get a little bit complacent because things are going well, and you don't necessarily look at everything as closely as when things are challenging.
That is correct.
So, you know, I think that's also something that's very valuable. Have you had an example where, man, things are not going well? Maybe it was a failure. Maybe it just was like a really rough patch. How were you able to kind of tweak and grow out of that, get out of that situation?
That's a good question, because it is hard. And you're right, when things are going well, it's easy to love everybody and it's all great. And even your weakest player, they're good, they're doing fine. And then you're like, maybe not so much. I think you really have to kind of go back to the basics. You have to really kind of go back to and make sure you're anchored to what it is you're trying to do, who you're trying to serve. Again, this is from Dan Sullivan, but it's who you're trying to be a hero to. Because if you can show up for those people and really kind of, again, relook at what your core focus is, and maybe we've gone astray from that, or maybe you've lost some customers, whatever. You have to look really honestly at that, and maybe even, you know, reflect back on very clearly, this is where we didn't do what we thought we should have done, or whatever. There could be all kinds of things. Life has taught me, as I'm sure it's taught you, things work out. They really do. Even when things are dark and difficult, they still work out in the long run. And you'll look back and you'll say, I gave that more stress and anxiety than I needed to.
Isn't that the truth?
Hard to see it at the time, though.
It really is. And, you know, that's the human experience. And I think the other thing that I've noticed a lot lately, you know, we had kind of an economic boom, and then all of a sudden inflation hit, and now people are feeling the pinch. You know, lending is tightened up. It's harder to get funds. Like, it's harder if you're B2C, especially. People's purse strings are a little bit tighter. I don't even know if they use that term anymore, purse strings. Anyway, like, I'm such a visual person, so I'm like seeing it. So it was easy when things were easy. You could have a lot of like things that were sloppy in business and still be successful. Well, right now that's a different climate, and you absolutely cannot. So I'm curious, when you find out that things are going great and then they start to go on the slide, like, what is the first thing you do, or the first thing that you do to say, okay, this is going in the wrong direction, how do I turn that around, and how do you empower your team to take ownership on there?
Two things. One, you have to let them know it's going to be okay. you know, if it's not clearly that we have a people person issue, and sometimes it is, but even then, it's best to let the dust settle a little bit, and then look at the facts, look at the reality of it, decide, is it a process problem, is it a people problem, is it just the way things are type of problem? But you got to take a breath, you have to look at it, you have to tell yourself, it'll be okay. We'll manage. We'll be okay. If it didn't kill me, I'm okay. And then you have to make sure that you reflect that to the company, because they learn. You know, kids learn, we all learn. They're going to take what you're giving. So if you're out of your head, they're going to think it's time to be out of your head. If you are, you know what, it's okay. We'll make it through this. Let's look here. There's some pain to be suffered, whatever. People are okay with that too. We all get that.
And it's part of humanity.
It's part of humanity.
So what I'm hearing time and time again is very loud and clear. Yeah, process is important, but really let's be human first.
Yes.
Let's be human first. Let's take a breath. Let's let the emotionality settle, because that's a real big challenge for a lot of people. They get caught up in the oh my gosh, this is happening. But you know, take the emotions out of it and let all the dust settle so that you can deal with it from a logical perspective.
So I'll give you a clear example. We had a couple of client losses last year, very unusual for us, and you know, I shaking my head what happened, and our COO and CIO, I asked them, I said, do you want me to tell the leadership team it'll be okay? And they said, give them a day. Let them think about it, because it's serious, but then we'll talk about it. And I thought that was great advice, you know? So I wanted to make it okay. Tell them we'll get through it, you know? And it's okay to take a minute, let everybody realize it is serious, but it's not catastrophic.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a great opportunity for learning and growing. We do have to take a quick break, but we will be back right after these messages.